Right, guys, welcome back to the channel and to episode 2 of the Dark Artisan Age of Sigmar podcast. I am once again joined by Mr. Grant Fraser. Grant, thank you very much for joining us again.
No problem, happy to be here again.
Excellent. So, last episode we discussed Slaves of Darkness.
Yes, and now they're here.
They are in a big bang. My Archeon and Everchosen battle report seemed to be very, very popular. It didn't seem like many people were doing Slaves to Darkness battle reports.
No, I've not. In any of the sort of channels I see, or even just on the YouTube recommendations, I think I've maybe seen one other one pop up.
Yeah,
I was thinking there'd be people, because a lot of people have Archeon, so you assume they'd be throwing something together.
Yes, I know Rerolling Ones did one.
Probably their one that I saw.
I do follow them, so give them a follow if you like Age of Sigmar battle reports, guys. After going through the book, nothing stands out as amazingly strong.
I think there's some things are strong, but nothing's broken.
Yes, yeah. It's kind of like, I see this book as the Chaos equivalent of Gloomspite Gits. It's good, it's got a couple of tricks, it's not stupid.
No.
It's
apart
not
from that one.
It's
not
not
build. It's just all endless spells and no fun. But
yeah. It's not Slaanesh broken. And on the subject of Slaanesh, we will come to that a little bit later. However, after going through the book, I'm pretty much going to run Archeon and Everchosen just because rule of cool.
Yeah.
There's no way, right? He is worth 800 points. There's not. He should not have gone up.
I still don't see why they put his points up. Like
he was 660 before. He doesn't have the Spell Eater ability now. Yeah, he can just heal or just do damage, but
you can also dispel an endless spell, which is quite handy.
Yes, I think most wizards should have been able to do that. I think they just never got around to updating his War Scroll. But yeah, there's a few nifty things in there, and of course you can still gear your army how you want because of the auras that the heroes can get.
The one thing I was expecting was more of a focus on the Warcry warbands.
Yeah, it's just a case of who they are.
Yeah, I felt the way they were mentioning on the community page, it was going to be like a big focal point of the book was this ramshackle warbands. And some of them I still think have a place, for sure.
But the thing is with Warcry as well, like the whole narrative of Warcry is gaining Archeon's favour. So you would have thought they'd have pushed it more. It's a weird one because it feels not as slung together as Cities of Sigmar, but not as well thought out and put together as some of the other books. Even Iron Jaws and Bone Splitters, Ogres and Beast Claws, it doesn't feel as put together as them.
It's very much here's slaves, but here's all the Warcry stuff as well.
Yeah. So a little bit disappointing. I think some of the endless spells are good. The one to get +1 attack on a 3+ for every enemy model that's dead is very good.
Yeah.
And no doubt there will be a couple of decent combos out there for it, in conjunction with the absolute best model in my battle report, the Chaos War Shrine.
Yes.
It's so good. Like, I want 3 of them.
Well, on the subject of FAQs, there's a list that I put one in. And it's just, I add so much to the list. It makes it a horrible list to play against, but it's just such a 170 points, and it's how many wounds? It's
12. It's got a 4+ save. It gives a 6 up ignore damage aura. It's a priest, so you can't dispel it. You've got access to 5 prayers. It's got, I think 10 attacks in combat altogether, or 8, at 2 damage each.
Yeah.
It can fight.
It'll get the job done when it has to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, you don't really want it in combat, but it can handle it. So you can't just stick like a battle line unit in to take it off. You've got to commit something worthwhile to take it off, which is a tactic in and of itself to have that. So your opponent has to commit something to it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, in the near future, you can expect more Slaves to Darkness battle reports on the YouTube channel. I have 3 painted Vanguard. I've got 3 built Vanguard. and currently they are apparently out of stock, so Battle Bunker hasn't been able to get me my last 3 as of yet.
Wonder why they're out of stock.
Well, because I bought 6.
Well, because everyone's bought 6 or 9.
Do you reckon?
I think people will be buying up Vanguard, yeah. I think that's why.
Well, that's the thing. I genuinely don't think they're worth 300 points. It's 15 wounds, right? But you get 15. The
thing is, people have always liked the Vanguard models, and now they're better.
Yeah.
Because they are really nice models.
Yeah. They're surprisingly easy to put together as well. Like, very nice.
I always thought they were resin, but they're full plastic kits, which is even better.
Yeah, they came out at around end times, didn't they? When the big models come out, like Nagash and Alariel and stuff.
And Glockin.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was the first model over 10 wounds, wasn't it? Back when Fantasy was a thing.
I've got no idea. I didn't follow Fantasy.
A funny feeling, I could be wrong there, but I'm sure remember being a big fuss around him breaking the 10, because obviously it was always a 10 was the maximum of any stat back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm sure I remember that it was Glockin that broke that, and it was big at the time.
So, you can definitely expect to see Archeon and at least 9 Vanguard running around on the YouTube channel. Hopefully, sort of mid-January by the time I get them painted up. But, the hot subject of today's show, the FAQs. Sylvanas, Skaven, well, not so much Skaven yet, because as of recording...
There's still one big change with Skaven.
Right. Well, as of recording, the Plague Monk War Scroll hasn't gone up. So by the time we get around to talking about that, we'll double check to see if it's been uploaded and see, where they stand. But massive point reductions for a lot of different factions, Grant.
Yeah, big. There's definitely some winners. There's not many losers, I don't think, overall.
No,
I think everything's in a better place, be it either better for the army or better for
the game.
Just the meta and the opponents in general. Like, Sylvanas is less offensive now. Skaven's theoretically less offensive now. I mean...
So I showed Lucy the Sylvanas point changes and she went, wow, is that real? I was like, yeah.
So Alariel went down?
She went down from 660 back down to 600.
And she still got, what, 200 to 200 points summon?
Some of the Tree Lord, which is now 180, or Kurnots, which are, I think, 200, 210.
Yeah, so when you take that into consideration, she's like 400 points.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, she was decent for 660, but it was kind of pushing it a little, I thought, because she doesn't feel like she's here or there, but the fact that she can heal everybody for D3 wounds and then summon something was, her saving grace. Now even more so. Durthu actually went down to 300 points.
Well, triple Durthu, it's going to be a thing.
Yeah, you're going to see Gaia Strike Durthu all over the place again now. It does mean that Drycha actually is now more expensive than Durthu. Now, I liked Drycha, but with Durthu now being cheaper, I don't see any reason to take Drycha.
No, it's a shame because I really like her as well. But like you say, I think just when it comes down to points, you're not gonna
And
make that call.
Ancients dropped as well. Because the thing with Ancients are, yes, they're a spellcaster, yes, they can put a wood down, but that was pretty much all they could do. Because let's face it, with one shot, you're gonna miss or fail to wound, and in combat, you've only got like 3 attacks.
I mean, Ancients, instead of coming down in points, I think they should have got an extra cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they should be 2 casters. Like, I think it's nonsense that they're not.
Yeah, I mean, Witches and Wraiths, yeah, fair enough, 1 cast, but like, why
keep
can't
that
they
at
cast
1
2?
and move the Ancients to 2.
Yeah, it seems mental. And then, of course, Tree Lords went down to 180 from 200 as well. So reductions across the board for Sylvanas, which will hopefully encourage some players back to them, because my understanding is the meta scene is not very pleasant for Sylvanas.
Yeah, no. they've just the battletomes changed them, and
Lucy,
they're no longer
Lucy said that as well, you know.
Yeah, they don't play the way they used to. So if you played them for that reason before, where you had your woods down and you jumped between them and stuff, it's not really the same way you play it now.
No.
And arguably they don't really work in the way they're sort of being pushed just now. I'm still sure somebody will have a good list with them, and there's certainly there's a guy I've played a couple of times with the Sylvaneth, but it's just lots of hunters and Dreadwood and teleporting. That's what a lot of it is.
Yeah. So
which is still kind of trying to harken back to the old style. So it's
hopefully this encourages Sylvanas players to come out of the woodwork a little bit more. What else majorly changed? Blight Kings.
Oh yes.
So
yes.
And from what I've read online, obviously it does extra damage, or you get extra hits on the roll of a 6.
Yeah. So it used to be on a roll of a 6+, your hit was D6 hits.
But there is nowhere in the Maggotkin book to give you +1 to hit. Everybody has access to -1 to hit.
Yeah, so they were just not pulling their weight. They just weren't doing it at all.
No. And now, of course, it's an unmodified 6, which duly warranted. Everything else in the game has gone that way.
Yep, and they just missed out on it by being an early 2nd edition book.
Yeah. Yeah, I think them and Daughters were the early 2nd edition.
I think Legions as well is around that time,
yes.
Isn't it? Legions of Nagash and Deepkin and stuff. They're all just on the cusp.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was nice to see, because that now, you know, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that you can make a pretty disgusting 2-drop Blight Cyst.
Which Ian is actually currently working on.
I mean, the way I would run it has 40 Blight Kings in it.
Ugh, that's horrible, literally.
And with the way the War Shrine's changed, the War Shrine gives Nurgle units +1 save. So you can have a unit of 20 Blight Kings with a 3-up save thanks to the War Shrine, a 5-up shrug thanks to the Harbinger of Decay, and then a 6-up shrug thanks to the War Shrine.
And they do stack in Sigmar.
Yeah, there's one after the other.
Yeah, that's pretty mental. But you know what?
And then in the Blight Cyst, so your Blight Kings actually have Rend, and then it's just horrendous.
It's good though. It's good because it's what they needed.
Yeah, I mean, it puts Nurgle back in the playing field. I think we're going to see Blight Cyst make a comeback.
Absolutely. What changed for Ideneth?
Ideneth, nothing that's going to affect them majorly. I mean, Turtles and that went down, but Eels are still your go-to choice.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I think Turtles went down, Sharks went down. I think the Eidolons went down as well.
Yeah, they did, because they were 400 or just over, and now they're just under.
Yeah. So, it's like, yeah, you've changed that, but Eels are still too good not to take.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so self-sufficient, they're so reliable that, I think if you want to play other ways to play Deepkin now, you're not going to feel as shortchanged.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think, I mean, Sharks, you can take them in a unit, but they're Bravery 6, so you're losing so much when one runs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So then you want to take them individually, and then that's what your drops through the roof. And well, I did see a photo on Twitter of somebody running 4 turtles. I don't know who it was, but that person is a hero.
Was it Splinter?
I'm not sure. I just remember seeing somebody put up a post.
You didn't get that,
sharing a post. Oh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never
was a big Turtles fan, in fairness.
Yeah, right, fair enough. I loved them. I remember
Micromax from Mars was my thing.
Again, something that I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed and had all the toys for.
Yes.
And now we move on to very expensive, smaller plastic toys. So, Beasts of Chaos. I never really came across Beasts of Chaos before, so I didn't know that much about them. Wasn't there a thing with Beasts of Chaos with Enlightened, and what's the combat ones called?
Enlightened are the combat, Skyfires are the shooty.
Yeah, is that still a thing, or?
Yeah, I think the problem with Beasts of Chaos is they're quite expensive to buy. You need quite a lot, and they're quite old models.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. I would love to put together a Beasts of Chaos army. I mean, the thing now is the War Herd stuff, so your Minotaurs, your Bulgors, your Gorgons, that all got cheaper.
Right.
So there's definitely a place to do War Herd stuff now. I think you're, 160 for 3 Bulgors now?
It's 140 now.
140 now, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you could make a slightly stronger army with that, but I think it is just the financial layout for a Beast of Chaos army is what prohibits them from being seen on the table that much, because you've not only got your army, but you've also got a relatively decent summoning pool you need to have as well. Because you're going to be sacrificing your Ungors to get those summoning points up to bring on big monsters or even more units of Ungors just to spam objectives and stuff. So
yeah,
which is a shame. I think it's a good book. I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do in it, but you just don't really see it
because other armies are above them, unfortunately. But yeah, it's something I never really gravitated towards at all.
I think it's like Bestigor are $27.50 for a unit of 10 from GW.
Wow.
And you want to run them. You want a decent number of them. So it's the money just. It's just one of those unfortunate situations where you have to look at the financial side of it as well as the point side of it, and you just.
Well, look at Witch Elves for Daughters, £35 for 10.
Yep. I mean, with Fire Slaves, they just gave everybody an extra wound. That's how they got around their problem for being a bit more expensive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but that helped immensely.
Yeah.
Compared to what they were before. Speaking of Fire Slayers, what actually changed with them?
You can no longer take 30 Hearthguard Berserkers in one unit.
Did they drop
it to capped at 20?
Oh, are they the ones with the feel no pain if they're in range of a hero?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the ones that everybody took 30 of in Lords of the Lodge and massacred the earth with and just never died.
It kind of
makes sense. The problem now is that people are now looking at running 2 Lords of the Lodges with 2 units of 20. So it could be, it's maybe not going to shake out that different for everyone, but
yeah.
The thing is, with 20, you can, if you can attack them first, you will kill enough to make a difference. With 30, you're still going to get hit by 20 odd back.
Yeah.
With 20, you still think there's still a chance you can go in and do the damage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a big bonus there. Again, it's arguably changed things up a bit because it makes them a bit easier to play against, and it means that you've not just got one big unit to try and avoid. You might have 2 smaller ones, a bit more maneuverable for the Fire Slayers player potentially.
Yeah,
like it changed things.
Gloomspite Gits, not a lot changed for them. It was basically the Scrap Skull, not the Scrap Skull Arachnicon, the Skitterstrands. Yeah.
Yeah. I think everything apart from the Shaman went down, didn't it? The Shaman didn't go down, did he? I think it was the unmounted one and the one with the grots on the backs. I think they went down.
Yeah, I think they were the only ones that changed.
Yeah.
So, not massive amounts of changes there, but still, they're looking at them. Flesh Eaters. Let's see what changed with Flesh Eaters. I'm just having a quick read now. Actually, something I've noticed across all the FAQs, Grant, is if a unit has a specific court or what's the Sylvanas one called? Wargrove or
Wargrove,
whatever. If a unit has them, you can take them in your army. They just don't benefit from whichever allegiance ability you're running. So I think what they've done that for, or where it seems they've done them, is in relation to the Beastgrave warbands. So, for example, the Sylvanas one's got it in there so you can take Ulthari without breaking your allegiance. The Flesh Eater one's got it in there so you can take Grimwatch without breaking their allegiance.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Grimwatch.
Yeah. They're sat here on my desk. I need to paint them for Lucy.
What do they do? What's there? I've not actually looked at their war scroll at all.
Oh, it's like a unit of 5 ghouls, and then there's basically is it a Crypt Ghast Courtier is the hero for the ghouls?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically a Crypt Ghast with 5 ghouls.
Okay.
And he replenishes them, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, point changes, I didn't notice any for the... the flares went down, Grant.
See, I can't, it's not letting me download. I don't know if it's because I'm on Skype at the same time for some reason. Never mind. Did horrors go down or just flares?
Oh, hang on. Flares are 170, horrors are 130.
Yeah, horrors have gone down.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the whole reason for the Crypt Flares staying there is the Spectral Host spell?
Yeah.
To
they've
run
got
and
Rend
charge. Yeah.
They're pretty speedy. So, and they've got Rend. They can do mortal wounds.
Yeah, and if you Lucy, you roll 6 out of 8 sixes. Honestly, that woman should not be allowed to roll dice.
It's quality dice she's got, that's why.
I wonder where she got them. Oh, so yeah, no massive changes for them. I'm going to skip Skaven for the moment. Legion of Nagash, not massive amounts change, but there's a whole, like, everyone...
there is one big change in Skaven to touch on.
Right.
Stormfiends are now only a max unit of 6.
Were people running 9?
Oh, yes. Oh, 9 was very much a thing.
Because, like, I know Stormfiends were a thing when you could take, like, dual flamers on everybody, but then I thought when the book came out, people would maybe stop doing that.
They did, and they've been back with a vengeance for a wee while now. Yeah, there's a number of lists using the 9, and often putting them through that bridge.
Oh, what's it called? Soul Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's brutal.
Yeah. So 9 of them just thrown in your face. Oh,
But surely this would just encourage people to take 2 units of 6 now.
I don't think so. It might. But the problem is, it's that, but you've then got to cast more and more warp power on them to up their damage. See, even if you have 2 units of 6, you can still only buff one of them to give them the extra damage.
Fair enough.
So I think it does blunt them. And obviously we don't know what's happening with Plague Monks. But
no, because the FAQ actually says this War Scroll is no longer used. It has been replaced with the War Scroll on the Games Workshop website. If you go to the Games Workshop website, guess what War Scroll's there?
Unless it's changed, still the old one.
I'm actually going to refresh it now. Of course, we will revisit it at the end of the show, but let's have a quick check. Nope, still the old one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the major thing for Skaven, and of course, depending on how bad...
Vermin Lord's been up in points, I think, and the Screaming Bell changed in points as well.
Yeah, that was still quite popular, wasn't it, with a lot of Plague Monks around it?
Yeah, the Screaming Bell's 240 now.
Have Plague Monks actually stayed the same cost, though?
They have, yeah.
So that definitely indicates a massive overhaul. And we were discussing this before we started recording, and I actually came across it when I reviewed the Skaven Battletome earlier in the year. I borrowed Michael's Skaven army, and I literally just used what he had, and he had like 1,700 points when you added it together. He just happened to have 20 Plague Monks and a Screaming Bell, right? And obviously, it was non-competitive. Michael doesn't play competitive in the slightest. And
you got Plague Monks in the Star Collecting box. A lot of people will have Plague Monks that play Skaven, even if they play, like say, non-competitively.
Yeah. So I quickly discovered that 6s to hit meant that you got like +1 rend or something. So then I would have to roll them wounds separately. But then the other ones I would roll normally. But then any 6s to wound on either of them were then doing rend or extra damage or whatever it was and you had 4 dice pools of saves at different damages and rends to have to make.
It's just unwieldy.
Now, I did that film in a battle report in the comfort of my own home. How do people manage that in a more competitive scene, though, Grant? I mean, you must have come across that.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying to you before we came on air, there's a gentleman, actually is the Northern Master now, Mr. John Bayliss, who has a sheet of A4 paper and has it written on there, no rend, 1 damage, no rend, 2 damage, rend, 1 damage, rend, 2 damage, and just puts the 4 dice pools onto the sheet of paper as he goes, which I think is about the only way to do it. I mean, it keeps everything clear, it keeps everything obvious. There's no, is there 3 dice in that pool or 4 dice in that pool? It just lays everything out and makes the best of a bad war scroll.
But then having to divide your wounds and say, right, he gives me 2 damage ones, take that amount of saves with no rend, take that amount of saves at 1 rend, they're 2 damage. Oh, by the way, take this amount of saves again at -1 with 1 damage. It
slows it down
massively. And
that's the issue. It's, yes, they should be good. Yes, they should be crazy. That's their whole thing. But let's not have the war scroll take like half an hour to resolve a combat.
No, and I had this same issue when I first played Iron Jaws with Ard Boys. And then the new battletome dropped, and it was just like, look, 2 in 5 can take shields. They've all got this weapon. They've all got this amount of attacks. And by the way, they hit on +1 better. Yeah. And everything was just,
it's okay, and it's better.
Now I can just roll everything in one go, and it was just so much better. I agree that maybe not necessarily... They're going to get nerfed, right? They are, because it's going to happen. But I don't necessarily think they need nerfing, but if they rework the war scroll, and maybe they say...
Still have them be a big damage-dealing unit. Just make it easier to roll out.
Yeah, so you can either take one or the other of the 2 items that, on 6s to hit, 6s to win. Take one or the other item.
Yeah.
That's it.
That would be good. Yeah. You either can go for the extra damage or the extra rend. Depends what you fancy.
Yeah, all I have to do is just say if you use, a banner and a scroll or something? Or a bell?
One's a banner and one's a musician.
Right,
I think that's why you end up...
So what you do is you go, if the musician rings his bell, you can't use the banner's ability. If you use the banner's ability, you can't use the bell. You've still got both there in the unit. You can choose which one you want, but you can't use both in the same turn.
Yeah. They'll do that, or they'll just change one of them. They'll maybe get rid of the extra rend or get rid of the extra damage, and you've only got one thing there. They'll make it do another effect.
Yeah. Legion of Nagash up next. From what I can see, I don't think a lot changed. They brought Nagash's points in line
with the Bone Reapers book.
With the Bone Reapers. And they brought the Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragon. They brought them both in line with the Flesh Eater book. Again, very good.
But they're not royal Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragons. They're their own thing, are they not? The Nagash ones. Because they don't have royals. They've got a slightly different war scroll, don't they?
They did.
There's the Terrorgeist, or the all...
Basically, the mounts are still exactly the same, and you're using the same war scrolls as what's in the Flesh Eater book. I think it's just not called a royal.
Right, okay.
But it is literally the same war scroll. You just can't take the Ghoul King on top.
Right. Got you.
But basically, they changed the Gaping Maw, because I know that used to be very different. They've changed the Pestilence Breath so that it lines up now. And things like that, so just making it easier. From what I can see, let's have a look. Where's the battle line? They've removed Morghast as battle line, because I know
they battle line in Grand Host Nagash, is it not?
Well, when you look at the Grand Host rules, it states that they are battle line, but the problem is it's now not on the points bit.
Oh, well, that'll have to be FAQ for the FAQ. There we go.
So, I mean, that could get changed. I mean, it doesn't make sense not to do that when you consider Nagash as your general. You're going to take more gas to get the +1 attack. Oh, look, I've got no points left for battle line.
Yeah. I imagine that's just been missed. I think so.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, not a lot of stuff changed there that I can see. Nighthaunt, nothing in the errata, but they did get some generous point drops. The Black Coach went down 40 points. And
yeah, I mean,
Linda went down.
You never really see Nighthaunt, in fairness, unless it's in Legion of Grief these days.
Yeah. But still, the fact that they've all gone down in points is still pretty good.
Yeah. And they got Point Dwarf rules as well.
Yeah, I still haven't actually looked at that, but yeah, there was a couple of battalions in White Dwarf. In fact, you know what? I've got it here somewhere.
I think one of them, there's a Hex Wraith battalion that gives them an extra attack.
Yeah, and then there was another one that if you take the Ethereal Steed character, he does something for them as well, but you had to take 2 units of Dread Scythe Harridans.
Yeah. At least it gives you a reason why they come in 2, since for some reason GW puts a character in a box with 2 models in it.
Yeah, I'm
still convinced they were meant to be a unit at some point, but it got changed.
I thought that as well, which was a bit odd, but yeah,
it's a bit like your Dracoth. Yes, you can make a character out of the box, but you've still got 1 extra guy left over.
Yeah,
but at least they can be a unit.
The same with the that mortal Maggotkin guy on the fly.
Yeah.
If you make a hero, you've got a spare one. You don't really want a second hero.
No. So everyone uses Vandus for their self-sent Dracoth model because you don't want to waste a Dracoth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you know somebody you wants to split a box with or something like that. But
yeah. Blades of Khorne. I don't think much changed for them, to be
Juggernaut
honest.
stuff went down, I think.
Yeah, so like the Mighty Skull Crushers and the... I can't remember the name of the demon ones.
The Blood Crushers.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Skull Crushers, I think, went down slightly. Yeah, Blood Crushers are 120, Skull Crushers are 160. That was it. So... I found that a bit odd, you know, because I don't think many people are playing Khorne at the moment, are they?
See Tyrants of Blood. Let's see, there is a guy up with us running a lot of Juggernauts, which is pretty cool.
Right.
But yeah, you do see them, but they're not as popular, I think, as they. I think when the book came out, they were quite popular. I think they're kind of.
See, when I got the book, I was a little bit frustrated at it because it's like, oh, here's this cool terrain feature. However, you must take priests to use it.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, I've got a demon army.
Yeah.
And then the 4 allegiances that are in there, 2 of them are for mortals, 2 of them are for demons. Mm-hmm. So if you take mortals in the demon list, you don't get anything. If you take demons in the mortal list, you don't get anything.
Yeah, it's very much you want to build either a mortal or a demon's army.
And that forced them apart more than what I felt it needed to. And honestly,
you're right.
Since I did that review, I've never picked my Khorne back up, and my Khorne War Scroll cards are still there, sealed.
I guess I never picked up on that the same because I always wanted to do a mortal Khorne army. So I was never really something that was in my mind that they split them further apart. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, it's for a lot of people that want to do them both. It doesn't really flow.
No. Like, at least with Ogre Maw tribes, you still get all your allegiance abilities, regardless of whether you take a Frostlord, Thunder Tusk, and then Gluttons. Everybody still gets the bonuses.
Yeah. You still get the extra move. You still get everything else. You still get the impact hits.
Yeah.
But your tribal does benefit some things over others.
So, that's a little bit frustrating, but never mind. Daughters of Cain, Bloodstalkers went down again to 120. Mm-hmm. I remember when they were 160, right? And people used to complain that they were too expensive, right? And I was like, well, hang on. Compare what they are to Stormcast Judicators, who were 160 points, who were battle line in a Stormcast Allegiance. They shot exactly the same, apart from
The Prime.
The Prime exploded into D6 hits, but at the same time, the Bloodstalkers did mortal wounds on 6s to hit. It probably balanced out. Yes, they've only got a 5 up
do
armor.
Do the Shooty ones do the mortal wounds as well? It's in combat you get the mortal wounds, though, not when you're shooting.
No, the Stalkers are the shooting ones, aren't they?
Where is
Is that the Blood Sisters, and I'm totally going the wrong way here.
Blood. Stalkers are the shooty.
Yeah, so they're down to 120.
Oh yeah, it is 6+ in the shooting phase.
So obviously you're going to get 1 or 2 mortal wounds through, right? The leader has +1 to hit as well, I believe. So it's a 6+ for the mortal wounds. So the leader does it on a 5. But not just that, they've got a 6-up ignore damage, just for being Daughters of Cain. Right?
Movement 8 as well.
Movement 8 instead of 5. I think they were slightly better in combat, or almost the same. And they've got 2 wounds. They've got 1 point of armor less. Right?
Yeah, but they've got more movement.
And people used to complain that they were terrible. And I'm like, how can you say they're terrible? They're the same as Judicators practically. Which, on the subject of Stormcast,
is not bad,
where's the points for Stormcast?
Oh, there's only 3 things that dropped.
Started. Where's the rest of them? Where's the rest of them? So Evocators.
Why are Liberators still 100 points? Why are Liberators still 100 points?
They should be 80 points. They really should be.
Or they should get a new War Scroll. Keep them at 100. Keep them like that 100 point, but just make them worth it. Like, they just do nothing. And they don't even hold an objective.
Paladins are like 200 points a piece now. And it's like, why would you when Evocators are 220?
Yep. And now the cat ones are, what, 260?
260 or 40? 260.
Yeah, so for 60 points more over Paladins, you're getting movement, mortal wounds, and a wizard.
Well, 20 points more, because Retributors were 220, weren't they?
They were. They're 200 now, I think.
Oh, yeah, they are. Protectors are 180. That's went down since I've realised. Oh, Sequitors are actually...
Yeah, them and Decimators.
See, Lucy has not looked at her Stormcast for about 8 months now. So Sequitors up to 130 is good in my opinion, because everyone was taking them. That's all people would take. And was it the Cleansing Phalanx that everyone was using?
If you were using a Stormcast battalion, yes, but generally people weren't bothering with it. It's not really worth it, because you need to take 2 units of Evocators. So most people, you want to take either a big unit on foot or a big unit of cats. So you only really want to take 1 unit of Evocators, not 2, and then the extra battalion cost. So and the benefits benefit the Sequitors. I mean, you can do it with, if you took like 2 decent units of Sequitors, maybe 2 small foot units of Evocators, and really buff your Sequitors. But I just think if you're going Evocators now, you want the ones on cats for the extra 40 points over the foot ones. Just for the movement alone, it's so much stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. On a positive note, though, your list went down in points because the Drake's 1 Templar and the Lord Celestin on Star Drake dropped to 420 and 500 respectively.
Yeah. I still think there's a case to be made. They're maybe even still overpointed.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a shame that all the old Stormcast units are now just totally ignored. And like,
I mean, this is why I keep saying I want a new book, but I don't want new models. Maybe a terrain piece, like something like that. But I don't want a new chamber opened. I just want to go back and look through all of the old stuff. And I know the argument is, but no one will buy the old stuff. But everyone's just got the new Sacrosanct stuff. You've got that whole market will go back and buy.
Yep.
Your warrior chamber,
and this is why Lucy
Vanguard
fell out of love with the Stormcast, right? Because she was happy with where they were. The Vanguards were a nice addition. She didn't necessarily need them. She didn't mind them. It was nice to run a unit of Paladors or to have some Vanguard Raptors in there. But it wasn't over the top. And then all of a sudden, it's like, whack. He's a Taurolon. He's like 6 new characters. He's like, the cats and endless spells. And Sequitors have got like 6 special rules. And Lucy likes simplistic rules, right? That's why she loves Dryads. So easy to play. She loves ghouls. So easy to play. And I mean, what's she playing recently? Her death, like the chain rasps. She's just like he's like 100 dice hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s.
Yeah, nice and easy. And I think the problem is always here's your new battle line, here's your new elites, here's your new whatever, and it's better. Yeah, that's why you say that's why Vanguard was nice, because it wasn't better, it was just different.
It filled a little bit of a gap. It gave Stormcast a lot more maneuverability when they didn't necessarily have it.
Yeah. I still want Vanguard. Again, I want them to go back and look at Vanguard and make Vanguard, a reason to take Vanguard. Like, I think there's good lists in there. I mean, I put together a list, but it was the cheapest I could do was 2,090 points. So I thought, we might get some drops. Maybe get that down a bit, but no. No.
Yeah. And they're supposed to be the poster boys.
I think that's what does annoy me is you've got the big Liberator standing outside Warhammer World, and they're just...
Tactical
they
Marine.
Don't really represent anything. Like...
Tactical Marine.
Yeah, but it's... The Tactical Marine's still an iconic Warhammer model because it's been around for so long.
No, but like new players in Sigmar don't know what a Liberator is.
No. Unless they're that's those 3 units of 5 that people take because they don't want to take battle.
Yeah.
Which is what I've done. I don't want to take Sequitors. I also don't have the points, or I'm not taking a Lord Arcanum. Adjudicators are just too expensive, I think.
Well, technically, you could take a unit now. With that 40-point drop, you could swap with unit Liberators for Sequitors.
But I don't have a Lord Arcanum, so I can't. It would be battle line.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like I think I can't even buy a command point, so I've got a decent chance of getting a Triumph, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is always good. But yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more. I was hoping for, like say, a few more drops all over the place. I think there's a number of adjustments that could be done to Stormcast, but there'll be a book hopefully next year.
The next book that we've got is Orc War Clans. So there was a little bit of a change to the Ardfist Battalion, which, in fairness, I didn't realise people were actually abusing this.
I don't know how abused it got. It was definitely spoken about. I don't know if it was abused at an event or anything like that, but yeah. There was some filth that could be done with it that's now gone, thankfully.
Yes, so Ard Boys changed where you could take a unit of 5 to be your battle line, right? And then you could spend a command point to sacrifice them, and on a 4+ you got a unit of 10 back.
Well, it was when they were dead, you spent the command point. Right. So you had to kill them yourself with, like,
Green Puke.
Endless spells and everything, Green Puke and that, and then on a 4+ you get a unit of 10. But if you killed that unit, you could spend 4 command points and do it. You potentially kill 1 unit of 5 and get 4 units of 10 back if you were lucky.
Yeah, so basically it has to be an identical unit that is replaced. And did they change it to once? Yeah,
yes,
once per phase.
Yeah, so it's fine. So it means if you lose a unit on a 4-up, you're going to get it back. It's still good. It's just not broken.
Yeah. Like, I mean, in fairness, that's always what it should have been, and that's probably how I would have played it anyway.
I think that's why I don't have anybody actually run it, because everybody knew it was going to get nerfed. So by the time somebody painted up enough Ard Boys, it was gone, because it hasn't been out for that long before they've changed it. But again, if they hadn't done this surprise, it's not a surprise FAQ, but it's bigger than what I think it was last year, then the list might have survived. But because obviously with Slaanesh being such a thing, and that they've had a good look at a lot of things, and caught little bits like that would slip through. So
I'm going to skip cities for the minute, because I'm going to let you handle most of that. But aside Bone Reapers, the Arch-Kavalos Xanthos' ability changed. Basically, it's only for that phase now, because I believe it was till your next hero phase before.
Okay, yeah. Again, I've not looked much at the Bone Reaper stuff. I was looking to collect them, but I kind of went off them.
I know there's been a lot of comments in the Facebook group going, "Oh, there's no reason to take them now," and yeah. The next one that we've got is the Cities of Sigmar. Hallowheart got nerfed.
Yes, I saw that.
So
I'm just going to bring it up.
Please explain to me and people who are listening what Hallowheart was doing.
So what's it changed to? Let's see if I can remember what it did.
So it says now.
Let's look at the old battletome.
Okay.
Here's the battletome. It's good it is having everything on your phone. Sometimes I think it is quicker just to pick up a book. Right.
And it's the command ability that's actually changed.
Yeah, it was the command ability that was. So use this command ability to start your phase. One friendly wizard hero, roll a dice. The wizard takes that number of mortal wounds, and you can add that to casting rolls made by wizards. So if you took 5 mortal wounds, wizards within 12 inches were +5 to cast.
What was the range? Sorry, say that last bit of the command trait again.
Within 12 inches. So you pick one friendly Hallowheart wizard and roll a dice. That wizard takes that number of mortal wounds.
Mm-hmm.
But Hallowheart wizards within 12 inch of that wizard adds that number to their casting roll. So if you take 5 mortal wounds, every wizard within 12 inches is +5 to cast.
It seems like it's still the same. So it says you can use this command ability once per turn at the start of your hero phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Hallowheart wizard hero and roll a dice. That wizard suffers a number of
not negated.
Right. So basically, if you have an ability that negates wounds, you could have stopped 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah,
but then
then
you would still add +5, even if you negated 2 or 3 of the wounds.
Yeah, that seems to be the change.
Right.
And obviously, you'd have you could give them. What do you call it? Are they in action? Yeah, they're in action, so you could give them the Ignac scales, and on a 4-up, you're not taking those mortal wounds.
Right. So that's what people would have been doing.
Yeah, and you could do it too, like a Hurricanum or something, where you've got plenty of wounds to take, and you want to protect it anyway, so you're going to give it that 4-up mortal wound shrug.
Yeah.
So yeah, that seems to be the change.
As for points,
it's a small change, but it's fine.
Only Drakespawn Knights and Wild Riders went down. Or changed.
And Wild Riders are now battle line.
Yes, battle line if the Sigmar army, if your general is a wanderer.
Yeah, which they weren't before.
Right.
I think that was just an oversight.
Right, fair enough. Let's backtrack now to Slaanesh.
Oh.
So the Locus of Diversion, and funny enough, we were actually talking about this. And I was on the tip of typing it out. They'll probably drop it to a 3+ and a 5+. But I actually said, heroes, if the keepers only did it on a 3+, that was probably enough to help change the problem.
Yeah. I mean, now which is obviously what's happened.
Yeah.
It's now a 5-up, and the keepers get +2, so they're a 3-up. So, you might try charging a keeper now. I mean, you've got a chance, whereas before, not much of a chance to attack it, but...
Yeah. That, in conjunction with something that they actually clarified in a couple of the other FAQs, whichever rule applies last is the one that takes precedence. So, because this happens in the charge phase, Iron Jaws can get around the Locus by using Smashing and Bashing, which happens in the combat phase. So because the combat phase rule of Smashing and Bashing happens after the charge phase of Locus of Diversion, it takes precedence, which means that you basically can fight over the top of the Locus.
Yeah, same with Savage Strike. Then with...
Yeah. So I don't know if that's been updated into all FAQs. I just know that it was updated into the Iron Jaws one as that specific example.
Yeah, there was its own separate order of activations FAQ, and then I think it then got put into all the FAQs because obviously Idoneth are the same. Turn 3, they have high tides, so everything's fighting first in the whole army.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these kind of interactions, and then they did the order of operations FAQ, and then it all got written into individual army FAQs now, I'm pretty sure.
And on top of that, not only might you actually think twice about charging your keeper in with only a 3+, and people have a way of getting around it, Depravity costs to summon units went up.
Yeah, everything's gone up. And it's about 1.5 times what it was. I don't know if that's on everything. But for example, a keeper used to be 30 Depravity, and now it's 45.
That's a lot. That's a lot different.
Yeah. Again, I always like the Depravity mechanic. I love that it's their wounds suffered and the wounds they dish out. It's very thematic.
Yes.
But it was too good.
The problem with that is you suffer. Some armies suffer against it. Other armies laugh in their face.
Yeah, but if you've got one wound army, they're getting nothing.
Yeah, but then if you play ogres, you're screwed.
Yeah, did you see there was Sylvanas v ogres on one of the Honest Wargamer streams? I think it was.
Didn't see it.
It was. Was it maybe the event in Sweden they covered?
Right.
And yeah, by turn 2, I think the guy had 200 odd Depravity. This Sylvanas guy. I think he was running the Celeste Coast, which doubles your Depravity.
But still, 100 and odd?
Yeah. Because every model's 4 wounds, and the Ogre army was 3 units of 12 Gluttons.
Oh.
So yeah, it was... Oh, it's bad.
So that was 33 Depravity points per squad that he'd killed.
Yeah.
Well,
plus obviously
66.
characters and whatnot, plus the damage he was taking from them. And
That's nuts. That's really, really nuts.
Yeah. It wasn't that long a battle report. I think that was round 5, and that was the Ogre player had gone 4-0 up till that match.
Wow.
It was a good showing for Ogres.
It's such a shame that, like, Ogres are a bit of an underdog because nobody really liked them. And, like, I did. I had Ogres, and I loved them before the book.
I think a lot of people liked them before the book, but didn't want to run them because there wasn't much to them before them. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't anything to them. They were just the war scrolls, and that was it. So I think there was definitely a lot of people that always spoke like, "Oh, I'd love to do Ogres." I mean, I wanted to do Ogres for a long time, until the book came out, and now it's a good, solid book. I think we'll see a lot more Ogre players next year.
Oh, 100%.
It's a relatively small model count army to pick up. It's a destruction army. You don't have to have a lot of models, whereas most destruction armies tend to focus on hordes.
Yeah, like 100
other than
goblins.
trolls. Yeah. Even your Spider Fang. I mean, I've looked at Spider Fang armies, and you still want, 20, 30, 40 Spider Riders.
Yeah, easy. Easy. So, the last FAQ that we're going to have a look at, and this takes us on to our kind of final thoughts for today's show, is the pitch battle profiles in the General's Handbook FAQ. Actually states you can find a relevant errata document for Beasts of Chaos, Khorne, Daughters of Cain, Flesh Eaters, Fire Slayers, Gloomspike Gits, Ideneth Deepkin, Soulblight Nurgle, Nighthaunt, Scaventide, Stormcast, Sylvaneth. It doesn't mention Cities of Sigmar, but I think it should.
Okay. Yeah, it should.
There's 3 very key battletomes not mentioned there, Grant.
Yes.
Which is Tzeentch.
Yep. Seraphon.
Yep, and Kharadron Overlords.
Yep.
So, let's talk about Tzeentch first, because I know the Change Host is still very, very popular because of the amount of damage that you can dish out with pure mortals, with the amount of spells that
and
you
also
can
the
cast.
fact you just bung up the board. You just can't. There's just spells everywhere. You can't get moving. You're being boxed in.
Yeah. I genuinely hope that they get rid of that to make Tzeentch better, because there's still a very, very expensive point-heavy army.
Yeah.
Like, how many points is 20 Pink Horrors?
What's it? Is it still 200 for the 10?
Probably.
I think so.
That's nuts. That is crazy expensive.
I think they were too cheap for a while, I remember.
Yeah.
And then they did that, and they kind of just went a bit too far that way. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are a wizard. They do have shooting. And in Change Host, they are using it to throw out endless spells. So, I mean, again, how do you balance that? Do you say Pink Hunters can't cast endless spells?
Mm-hmm. But then if you do that to a unit, then you have to say that things like Evocators on Dracolines can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I genuinely hope that they give Tzeentch a proper rework, and...
I mean, they will. The book is itself barely worth what's printed in it. It's so out of date.
No, and talking about out-of-date Battletomes, the Caradhran Overlord one, that's seen so many changes now.
That was gutted within, 6 months of it coming out. It was barely worth it.
God, because people are running all that one unit with 4 of the same gun, and then they just went, nope, you can't do that, you've got to take 1 of each.
Yeah.
And that hurt them, and then the problem was there was nowhere in the book to give them +1 to hit, and whilst the ships are a very cool mechanic, and something very unique for Sigmar,
nothing else is transport.
They're terrible.
Yeah, they can't hit, and they fall over to a stiff breeze.
And they're incredibly expensive.
Why a frigate as a 5-up save? I mean, it's so frustrating, because you look at the models and you go, oh, they're so cool, and then you also only got 1 battle line choice.
Yeah.
So you've got to at least have 30 Arcanaut in your army. You know, it's a faction in bad need of expansion.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think, though, if they do that, we'll probably see what happened to the Thunderers happen to the Arcanauts, in that you won't be able to put 9 Skyhooks in your unit anymore. It'll be a mix of special weapons, potentially.
Yeah.
That's what the box comes with. So...
Yeah, but I think you know, the points and the rules for the ships need addressing. And I think you know, a little bit of variety with the units would certainly help. You know, if you've got...
and I think there should be a way to get Thunderers as battle line. I'd like a way to get the Gun Haulers as battle line. I think that could be fun. You could just have an entire army of boats. I'm not saying it would be good. No, I'm saying it would be fun. And it would look good on the table.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then the final one, Seraphon.
Yep.
Go and buy their Battletome, Grant.
Mm-hmm.
That came out before proper Battletomes were even a thing. Like, I don't even... Yep. There's not points in there. There's no allegiance abilities in there. There's no spells in there. There's no summoning rules in there. There's not... I'm pretty sure that was like the 3rd or 4th ever book that they released for Sigmar, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very early.
Like, that was pre-General's Handbook, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, of course, the first General's Handbook was 2016, I think.
Yes, because we're on the 3rd one now?
We're on the 4th.
4th one now.
Yeah. Because I remember the first one, and Sigmar had been out a year when we got into it.
So and then everyone had point.
Yeah,
it was worth playing.
And I know we had 17. I remember swapping to 18, and then 19 is the one with the split points.
Yes.
So, yeah. So that book is at least 4.5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not good.
And the thing is, they're still occasionally putting in good results.
Yeah, because obviously...
I mean, the General's Handbook updates for them have been good. You know, they've got... The thing with them is they're supposed to be the most magic-heavy army, but you don't want to cast spells so you can summon.
Yeah.
I like the mechanic. I think there's something there, but I think it's a shame that your Slann are never casting spells. They should be just throwing out spells all over the place.
Absolutely. Maybe he's do it the opposite way. Go the same way as Tzeentch. Get the spell.
You're
get
just
them
the same as
casting.
So then you're just copying Tzeentch. And God, imagine Tzeentch v Seraphon in that situation.
Yeah, but there's still different armies, so...
Yeah. They'll do something. I don't think they'll keep it the way it is, because I think it is just a case of, put my Slann on Balewind, give him cogs, look, now I'm getting like 20-odd summoning points a turn from doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great mechanic.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But...
There was a rumour that Tzeentch and Caradhran are February.
Yeah, I heard I've seen somewhere on Facebook that people are saying that it's going to be a dual box set, yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be interesting. I mean, it would certainly help update 2 armies in one go, kind of like what they did with Feast of Bones.
Well, Feast of Bones.
Carrion Empire.
What else? That was the other one I was going to say. And
Loon Curse
the Sylvanas Gloomspite one.
It didn't update the Gloomspite because they were still new, but it did update the Sylvanas.
Yeah.
Well, it would have had the Battletome not been delayed by about a month and a half. But I mean, that was always the plan, was to release it at the same time.
I think
my understanding.
2 boxes are definitely seems to be the way they're going to update things now, and I think it makes sense. Like, say, you get 2 armies out at once. One always gets more of a focus, but it's getting 2 books done at once. It's just getting more and more into the game.
Yeah, and of course it generates that surge of sales, which obviously Games Workshop's looking for. And it draws people in to suddenly, I might split this box with my friend, but I'm actually going to then go out and buy like 3 or 4 units to go with that half. So,
exactly.
It's a good ploy, because then obviously, if you get into it with your mate, it's like, oh, well, I'll go.
Or you and your friend buy a box each. So you'll be sold 2 boxes, but you swap the extra half. Suddenly you've got 2 halves of the box.
Exactly.
You're often in a great starting position there. No. Big fan of the split boxes, especially because you always get a unique character in them as well.
Yeah, the only thing I wish they would
most of which still haven't been released separately.
No, because the Arch Revenant isn't out. The Arch Regent still isn't out.
The Gloomspite guy on the squig still not out.
And then now you've got Vokmortian and the Tyrant.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I wish they would do, though, is, and I know they're working on this, and they made a statement in relation to the Sisters of Battle box stock.
Yeah.
Now, I've known for a while anyway, simply from being down at Warhammer World, that they are expanding, they are building a second factory, because the factory that they've actually got at the moment physically can't keep up with the modern day demand. The demand of Warhammer in the last 3 to 5 years, especially the last 3 years, has just catapulted through the roof. That they physically can't
40K
meet
hasn't
the demand.
Stopped growing. 40K is always growing, and Fantasy wasn't doing much, but Sigmar's growing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all. No, there's all that market to attend to as well.
But on top of all of that, they're bringing back all of these specialist games. Like all of these.
Yeah.
I remember walking into Games Workshop, nearly 20 years ago now, and seeing Necromunda, Space Hulk, Battlefleet Gothic, Warhammer Fantasy Battles, Inquisitor, Warhammer Quest, Blood Bowl.
Inquisitor.
I remember seeing all of these, and then if you went into Games Workshop 5 years ago, you had Warhammer Fantasy, you had Warhammer 40,000, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now you've got obviously the modern day Necromunda, you've got Underworlds, you've got Blood Bowl, you've got Warcry, you've got Kill Team, you've got Titanicus, you've got Aeronautica.
A lot of that is going under Forge. A lot of the specialist game stuff seems to be done through Forge World as well,
which is a little bit annoying, because Forge World have basically ignored everything 40k and Sigmar.
Yeah, to focus on their specialist stuff.
Yeah, which is fair enough, but go and update the 40k War Scrolls, guys, please. You still.
How long does it take the Custode stuff to hit 40k?
Oh, a long time. But do you know you can't actually run a legal Eldar Corsair army?
No.
You can't. And it's been that case for 2 years now. Since the first batch of FAQs, after they released their what were they called, indexes,
it
hasn't been possible to do it.
Yeah, they just don't have the staff. I mean, Forge World is stretched pretty thin. That's why the Heresy stuff isn't as quick as it used to be either.
Yeah.
What have we had from Forge World for Sigmar? The big Corn Dragon?
Yeah, and that's been in the work for a long time, though, hasn't it?
I think that started out. Was that even supposed to be a fantasy thing at one point?
Probably. Because I know the woman who sculpted it had been taking it to the shows for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, people had seen it, yeah. Which was never coming out.
Yeah.
It's insanely big.
I quite fancied it, and then I saw the size, and I was like, I actually haven't got anywhere to keep it. Like, we've got, like, our biggest models are probably, like, some of me Imperial Knights, but Archeon and the Stomper are probably the biggest things we've got.
If I remember, my mate has one, and it basically moves just over the length of its own base. It's so big.
So you could just pivot it from the front of the base.
Yeah.
That's silly. It's like the Mechanica Modernatus. It's 14.5 inches long, so you can't physically deploy it lengthways in Dawn of War deployment. Yeah.
Oh, superb.
Yeah. So that
card drag is not even that good. That's the thing. It's not worth 1,200 points.
Is that how much it is?
Yes.
That's nuts. That's nuts. But listen, that brings us to the end of the show. So thank you very much for listening, guys. Make sure you are following us on YouTube and Twitch. Grant, what are your hopes for the next 2 months? Very briefly, what are your hopes for Sigmar?
For Sigmar for the next 2 months, well, I think we won't see anything in January. I think that's 40k a month. Looking at what's coming out. So I think February could be that Overlord Zinch box. I think it's probably going to be an update of some army. Mm-hmm. Maybe a tease. We've already had the tease of, is it Light Elves? Is it Giants? Is it Light Giants?
Yeah, because Tyrion and Teclis have been mentioned a lot, so hopefully another faction of Elves will be pretty cool. I know a lot of people were bummed about the loss of the most of the High Elf range.
Yeah, I think if they do a High Elf-like army, that's going to be a big seller.
Yeah. We might hopefully get a hint of it over Christmas. Might.
Well, could do. There is, in saying that, the exclusive novels this year are, well, one's a 40k one because it's a new Last Chancellor's novel. Mm-hmm. So you get them for the ad event. And last time it was a Sigmar one. We also got the Sigmar tease. And the other one's like a horror book this time. Can't remember if it's 40k or Sigmar. I think it's 40k as well.
Right.
So maybe not. They might just keep the. Maybe more. There's not much more to tease for Sisters because also the Codex has technically been out there, so everyone knows what's coming now.
Yeah, and they have shown off most of the models.
Yeah. So maybe we'll be a wee.
But if it is Sisters in January, I will rejoice because it means I don't have to buy anything.
Yeah, I think it's all. But I think they've said it's. I think they have said it's January is Sisters.
Yeah, which I've got no interest in. So for me, it's hopefully going to be a nice, easy month, and I can get some backlog painted up.
Well, I will be trying to get my display board finished for Tempest at the end of January. So that's my job.
Yeah. And of course, we are actually meeting up in early February as well.
Yes.
Because we're both going to, I can't remember the name of the event now, so apologies. But Durham Raiders run an event once a year, and it's a narrative Age of Sigmar event. So narrative lists are encouraged. I presume you're bringing your Dracoths and Templar?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I don't consider it overly strong, but I think it's got a very strong narrative to it, so I think it'll fit in nicely. It's not anything stupid.
Unsurprisingly, I'm going to be taking Archeon in 9 Vanguard.
I did wonder.
Yeah. 5 games in 2 days is a lot for me. So I want, I would quite like to only move 11 models around.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll be taking my. I don't think my display board will make it down, sadly, which is a shame. For a narrative event, it would be.
Yeah.
It would be pretty good, but I don't think the way I'm having to travel down, it's not going to make it down. But I am looking forward to my first narrative event, so I'm quite excited for that.
And meeting me.
Something different. Oh, obviously, yes. Obviously. So no, we'll be down for that. Take some Scottish beers with us, I'm sure.
Hey. Right, and on that note, we are going to call it a night there, guys. Thank you very much indeed for listening. Grant, thank you very much for once again joining us. And, of course, in 2 weeks' time, the 40k podcast will be out. And in a month's time, the Age of Sigmar podcast will be out again. And hopefully, we'll have more news about what is to come in the Mortal Realms. So, thanks for watching. And watching? We're not watching. You're listening. Thank you very much for listening, guys. and we'll see you again next month.